Hi there, thanks for stopping at our channel. Today we're going to create this adorable St. Patrick's Day wreath. It's really easy, inexpensive, and a lot of fun. Okay, so for the sake of the time of the video, I've already gone ahead and I have attached my sign, and that's just by using pipe cleaners on the back with a staple gun and a glue gun. The only thing that you want to remember again is that the width of your staples, they aren't too long so that you go through your sign. You want to make sure that the staples won't show, so be careful of that. I want it at an angle, and I'm also, if you notice this time, I'm using an oval shaped wreath. Now what I plan on doing is I've got this long vine here that I got at Hobby Lobby, and I literally want it to look, I want it to have like a drapey look to it. I don't want it to be tight in on the piece. So I'm actually going to tuck it in up here and twist it around, get it caught right in the vine. Now over here I'm going to use some glue. Let that dry. I really love the three-dimensional look when it's not flat on your piece. And we're going to use a few different types of greenery too. I think I got this at Hobby Lobby. Okay, so I know I want that there. If you can, if you know of anywhere where you could gather some grapevine, it's so neat to make your own wreaths. I actually have a woman that lives local to me who made this wreath for me. She's made me a whole bunch. I love supporting her business, and I can give her, like if I want something really loose, if I want some extra pieces hanging off, she just really is able to gear the pieces towards what I'm looking for, and I love that. And again, I'm simply just catching this. And we're going to be putting other greens in as well. So that's going to help hold it. Now my bow is going to go over here. And then I plan to put something like this here, and then also another one down here. So I'm just keeping that in mind. I'm going to feed this up and through. I love the natural look of this already. And when, of course, when you use a real airy vine, that's what you're going to end up with. A nice natural look. This one here. I've also purchased grapevine wreaths at the store and actually taken them apart a little bit to loosen them up to give them more of an airy feel. So that could work for you as well. Alright, so I think I'm done with this particular vine, and it's time to move on to something else. I have this airy, really pretty fern that I like because it has the lighter green that I'm trying to pick up. Put that in there. Cut this piece off here. Use that for something else. to do is have all my pieces ready to go. It makes it a lot quicker when you're trying to pull a piece together. Oh, this looks so pretty. I don't want to cover up too much of the sign, but I also want to just soften it a little bit by covering the edges. That's my goal in this. I want to put one more piece down there. I actually think I'm going to put it behind the other ivy, but we'll see. Alright, so I have shown you in my previous videos how to make a bow by cutting it, cutting the lengths of the ribbon all the same length and then just making a loop and crisscrossing them. But I thought I'd show you another, it's a little bit more advanced and it takes a little bit of practice. But I have 3 ribbons here, just stacked one on top of the other. And I'm going to be making another bow for down here, and I do want a good length of tails. So I figured I want, I don't know, maybe this is about 18 inches. I'm going to pinch here, and then I'm just going to make my first loop. And how I kind of gauge how big, my first loops are always smaller. I make what you call a graduated bow. I start with a little bit smaller and then I get bigger. I like sometimes how it kind of like hangs longer towards the bottom. But I'm just going to kind of gauge how that would look. And now I'm going to pinch it all together. And I'm going to take these 3 strands of ribbon and I'm going to twist it so that the good side is facing me. And you always want to make sure that you have plenty of ribbon out. It makes it easier to work with. And now we're going to make another loop. And we want to try to have it match that size. So one way to do that is to pull on it until it's equal. And then you're going to pinch it back in that same, so now you have these 2. And now it's just twisting and doing the same exact process that we did before. And of course, the more ribbons you're working with, the more difficult it gets. But like I said, just keep practicing, don't give up. So I am thinking down here, I'm going to want this bottom one kind of loopy, if that's a good way to put it. I want it to just hang a little bit longer. So again, I'm lining them up and I am going to match this bow with that one. making sure that all my 3 ribbons are twisted. This polka dotted one doesn't want to behave itself. When I get it the same length, a little bit longer, then I'm going to just pinch them all together. So I now have this set, hope you can see this longer set and this shorter set. And I'm going to take 2 zip ties. First zip tie I'm going to put around the whole group, and I'm going to tighten it. And this too, the first time you do this, it's a little tricky because you're working just with one hand. You could take a clothespin and clothespin it if you wanted, so you'd have both hands free. All right, now I have this zip tied, and I'm not going to tighten this all the way. What I'm going to do is I'm going to slide another zip tie through there so that I can use this zip tie to attach it to my wreath. Now, I'm going to pull this in the back, tighten it up a little bit more, go back and open up my loops. Work on the placement of all my loops. And then when I get the bow the way that I like it, I'm going to go ahead and tighten this first zip tie right up, right to the back, so it's not going to show. And then I'm going to snip it. Okay. Now, the zip tie does show, but depending on how you flip this ribbon over, this is what I typically do. You end up covering it right up with your ribbons. However, if you don't want to do that, you could cut another piece of ribbon to cover up your zip tie. That's completely up to you. And then once you get this far, what you want to do from here, I typically attach it to my wreath down here. I'm actually going to try to go up a little bit because I really want it on the sign. Just going to feed it through. And again, you might want to take it off if you want to work on it flat surface. I also have purchased the easels with the open back at like Michael's. They're $3 or $4. Sometimes I work on that because finishing up a piece, if you put Spanish moss and you cut all your ends, which I will do a video on how to finish the back of your projects. I've been thinking about that because I don't always talk about it in my tutorials. And then what I like to do is I like to pull it up so it's different ribbons. They're spread out. Black and white really pops on this too. I love it. It's amazing how much life ribbon can give a piece. And then you can cut those however long you want. Now I plan on rolling these up, so I'm going to make them a little bit longer because rolling them up is very popular. It's trendy right now to do that in a wreath, so I'm going to give that a try on this particular piece. And then I have another one all made and ready to go. Guess I'm going to put this one over here. Oops. And then again, I'm just using the zip tie pulling it closed. And before I tighten it up a lot, I just make sure that I like where it's placed. Oops. Which I do. I can even pull this one. Well, I'll play with the bow later. Sometimes I get so caught up in fluffing the bow that. All right. Okay, so now all our ribbons are in place. I've curled all the ends. It's time to put our embellishments in. If you see, I've already started here. I put in one of the 3-leaf clovers. Bought this last year, Hobby Lobby, 90% off. I've already put that in, and now I'm going to go ahead and put this cute little hat up here in the corner. Now if you notice, because of the way that this is made, I've just threaded a green zip tie through it, and I want to put it on right here. So I'm gonna thread it through. Just going to go ahead and secure it. Make sure that we like its position. Okay. And then we're going to snip the end. This, what I'm going to do is I have some of these flowers that I think I'm going to add in. Let's see what we think of this over here. I like that a lot. And then typically you try to cluster your flowers in 3. This one doesn't have green on it. I'm really looking for the green. This has some. I also don't want to take away from that hat. I'm going to add some more greens in over there. So I'll put that one down in there. This is coming out really, really cute. I wanted to do something fun and a little different. Not your typical wreath that you'd find on somebody else's door. And again, the reason why I chose this flower is because it's a completely different shape and texture than anything else I've already added. So you want to try to keep that in mind when you're choosing what you're going to put in your pieces. Whether that be a arrangement, a swag, or a wreath. You always want to try to keep that in mind. gonna save this last one for down on the bottom here because I think I'm gonna want to add it. Oh, I like that there. I'm not gonna wait, I'm just gonna put it there now. Now I'm going to bend that upward, but right now I'm just letting that dry before I go ahead and touch it. So I'm just going to leave it there to dry. Okay, so now I'm going to go back in and I'm going to start to add some more greenery. I do have some of this grass that I know I'm going to add. I'm addicted to this grass. Hobby Lobby, I use it in almost every single piece that I do. I just love it. Just because there's so many tones of green in it, and it's all, again, completely positionable, so you can make it go right where you want. You can bend it however you want. Always got my eye out for different things I can incorporate into a wreath, even if that's at Goodwill, a yard sale. I'm always keeping my eyes open for different pieces. And you'll see the next video that I'm going to be posting is something completely different. It's adorable. I can't wait. Just a lot of fun. Okay, now I can see that I'm going to need to trim that stem, but this is where I want it to go. Actually, I would like it to go up even higher. Right there. Okay, so after stepping back and looking at the piece, I realized that I never put in the other 3-leaf clover that I talked about. And where I want it is down in here, but if you notice, I try to wedge this in the way that I want it, and the stem is blocking. So what I did is I just took a regular, this is a knife that I use in my studio. I went ahead and I just simply cut the stem off, and I am going to take a skewer. I usually get these at Walmart, and I'm actually gonna apply some glue and just stick it in the styrofoam and then use this to help me wedge this into the wreath. So I'm gonna go ahead and just put some hot glue in that spot. And then I'm probably going to cut it right about here. That'll be more than enough to wedge up into the wreath. Because I know right where I want it to go. I want to be able to read the sign as much as possible, but I also want to be able to add dimension to the wreath. So just like that. And then what I'm gonna do is I take it off. I'll show you the back. Here's the skewer. So at this point, I'm gonna apply some glue. Get my stems out of the way. Apply some glue and just let it dry. And like I said, I want to talk to you about how I finish up the back of my pieces as well, because that's something that I haven't done yet in a video. Okay, so we've got this really nice three-dimensional look now. It's amazing how different that makes this portion look. My whole thought process behind this, because of the sign and because it says let the shenanigans begin, I want it to be fun, not your typical piece that you would find. So now what I want to add in is a little bit more ribbon, and I'm just going to do some ribbon tails, again to add a little bit more fun. So how I'm going to do that is, if I can get my glue gun to stay, I've chosen the black and the white, and I've chosen this other ribbon here that I'm going to use. And I'm just going to cut them in short pieces and put them throughout the wreath. I want to figure out how long I want the tail to be. I don't want it too long. Yeah, that's good. So what I'm going to do now is figure out how long this is. Let's see how long. Do I have my tape measure? I actually do. Can't believe it. Let's see how long this is. This is just about 16 inches. So I would make them 16 inches. And again, this is just, you can do it however long you want. You might want them a little bit shorter. And like I said in my video, this process, you could do spring, you could do summer, winter. It's just a recipe of ideas. Okay, and I'm going to dovetail these. So how you do that is I'm going to lay one on top of the other. And I'm actually just folding them in half, like so, and I'm coming from the outside in. And that just gives you a nice finished edge on your ribbon. Sometimes, not all ribbon can be dovetailed because sometimes it frays. And then you actually have to fold it over, and I sometimes use a glue gun just on the very edge to finish it. And then what I'm going to do is just make 2 loops here, pinching it. And then do the same with this piece, and just pinch it, like so. And now you could either use a pipe cleaner, or you could use a zip tie, whichever you prefer at this point. I'm just going to use a piece of pipe cleaner. And I know I've shown you this before, but you're just going to thread it through. You don't need much at all, just enough to stick into the wreath. You're going to pinch it, and then you're just going to twist it. And then you'll snip it. And then this is the little tail that you're going to put glue on to stick into your wreath. And I'm going to put this, I haven't decided whether I'm going to put it down in here. Yeah, I really like it in there. Okay. So cute. Love it. Okay, so now I'm going to do the same procedure, and I'm going to work my way around the wreath, just adding some ribbon tails here and there. All right, so we've gone ahead and I have put in all of the extra ribbon pieces. I've alternated. One point it was pattern on the inside, black on the outside. Then I flipped that just to add a little bit more interest. You'll also notice that I've got it on the inside of the wreath here, on the outside, on the inside, on the outside. And again, that is just for more interest in the piece. I'm thinking what I want to add next. I picked up these little white daisies at Joann's. They're a spring flower that I got last year that I have used so much. And I snipped a piece off and put them in here. Again, just looking for that airy cascading effect. And I love the way that that looks. So what I'm going to do from here is just begin to snip small pieces and place them in my wreath. I live in New Hampshire, so a lot of the people that I design wreaths for, they have a storm door on their home. So they're looking for something that's rather thin and not too bulky. And this wreath, I mean, the depth of it, it's very, very thin. So it's going to be perfect fit for somebody that uses a storm door. Now I've put one in the front, so now I'm thinking about adding one to the back. And you notice my design style, I don't have it right snug to the wreath. I love things that come off. But you can, since you're creating this, you could make it however you want. This is such a great versatile stem that if you have an opportunity to pick some of these up, I haven't looked at Joann's yet this year to see if they have these in their spring, but you definitely should. White's always a good flower to have on hand because it just adds so much to a piece. And again, the reason why I chose this is because it's a different texture than the others that I put in. It's a smaller flower, has a different petal. Typically like to have something coming out of the bow. I haven't really worked on that down here. That's typically what I like though, so it looks more natural. I don't think I'm going to do that with this piece. I'm going to add another piece in there. separate. Have one on the top and one on the bottom. This one up in here. It's cascading down the ribbon. And then put the last one down below. That looks so pretty. I'm so happy with it. Thanks so much for stopping by my channel today. I hope this has been fun for you. I hope you give it a try. And if you haven't subscribed, please go ahead and hit the button along with the bell so that you don't miss any more of our upcoming videos. I'm going to link in a picture to just show you what we're using in our next St. Patrick's Day themed project. It's super fun, super easy, inexpensive DIY project, so we hope to see you then. Take care and thanks for watching. Until the next time that we can get creative together.